how much money should you have set aside or saved up to take advantage of a stock market crash? Looking back over the years, in 2020, the market fell 33%. 2008, the market was down 50%. And in the dot-com bubble in 2000, the market fell 75%. So whenever we see that the market can inflate, create a bubble, and then blow up, and then fall very far down, then of course we all want to know, can we just buy the bottom, buy the dip, and then ride out the market for the years to come and make more money than somebody who's just dollar cost averaging into the market? So today I want to answer exactly that. I want to look specifically at the dot-com bubble, the mother of all bubbles. If there was any time to buy a dip, it was the dot-com bubble whenever the market crashed 75%. I want to take a look at 6 investors. I want to take a look at an investor who bought the very bottom in 2002, somebody who bought close to the bottom in 2001, and then 2 other investors or 3 other investors on the way down in 2000, and then all the way up after the bubble bursted up here. And then I want to compare these 5 investors to somebody who would have started investing in January of 1997, right before the bubble started to inflate. And what we're going to do here is we are going to take a look at all 6 of these investors. They all invested the same amount. They all contributed the same amount, $228,000, over the course of 1997 to today. The only difference is of the first 5 investors, they saved up their money through the bubble and they put in different lump sums, and then they continued to dollar cost average as the years went on to today, versus the 1997 investors started to buy as the bubble was beginning. In 1997, they were doing their $665 every single month, every single paycheck from January 1997 to now. And here we get the total contributions of all of the investors. So who does the best? Well, we are going to find out. And before I jump into this video, I just want to say thank you for being here. I'm Jacob. I'm building wealth for me and my family. I'm 28 years old. I'm debt free. I have almost $700,000 in stocks. I'm on a warpath to get to 32. I hope I get to 32 years old, but with $1 million by the time I'm 32 years old. So if you like investing content, personal finance, saving, investing, budgeting, everything like that, be sure to hit that subscribe button, and may as well give me a like too while you're at it. So diving in, before we jump in here, I just want to give a brief history of the dot-com bubble and show you exactly what this would have looked like as the bubble was inflating. So in 1996, Fed Chair Alan Greenspan warned of irrational exuberance and kind of gave foresight that there could be a market correction in the upcoming years. And that was in December of 1996. And from there, the market went up 260% over the course of 3 years. So from 1996 all the way up to 2000, it went from about 1,200 in the NASDAQ composite up to 4,700, a 260% gain. That's whenever the bubble really took off. And that's where I want to say our first investor just said, screw it, I don't care. I'm just going to dollar cost average into this bubble all the way up and all the way down and forever. Now, as we go through here, our other investors were saying, well, this is a bubble. So instead of them investing in 1997, this is where they start saving up their $665, and each one has their own different lump sum. So we get to 1998, Warren Buffett warns of overvalued stocks in the market, specifically internet stocks. Again, the market went up 148% from where Buffett warned of the overvaluation. And then in July 1999, Barton Biggs, money manager in the 90s, called the tech boom the biggest bubble ever. And even after there, the stock market gained 74%. Now, all along here, our dollar cost average investor, he bought every single month $665. Every single month, dollar cost averaging, dollar cost averaging, dollar cost averaging. And the other investors, they just kept waiting and waiting and waiting and waiting until finally we got our very first dip. And that came in March of 2000. So I'm going to throw on here all of our investors on here so you can see exactly where they start investing. So we got investor 1. They are waiting to buy the dip. And instead of them investing from, well, let's see here, instead of our dollar cost average investor who started back here in 1997, where you at? There it is, January 1997. They were dollar cost averaging all the way up through here. Well, investor number one, he said, I'm going to buy the crash. And so he actually waited to buy the crash right here at the top. The market crashes down a good 27%. And they buy right here in June of 2000. That's where they buy. They lump sum in $34,000, and then they continue investing dollar cost averaging for the rest of their days until today, and they just kept putting in $665. Investor 2 said, I think I'm going to hold on a little bit longer here, and they end up vesting all the way down here after the market crashed 48%. They invest December of 2000. They finally put in all of their lump sum savings, $39,984, and then of course they continue dollar cost averaging for the rest of their days. And likewise, we're going to keep going down here. So we have the third investor investing on March 2001. Right here, the market was down almost 70, or it was down, what was that, 60%? It was from the top. It was down 60% from the top all the way down here in 2001. They waited a full year after the market, after the bubble bursted, to finally get into the market. And then investor 4 invested all the way over here, September of 2001. Over a year later, the market was down 68%. And they threw in their lump sum right there of $47,000. Then, of course, continued dollar cost averaging as the years went on. And lastly, we got the greatest investor of all time, Mr. I Time the Market Perfectly, down 75% from the peak, September of 2002. They saved up all of their money from January 1997, whenever this idiot, this dollar cost averager, started investing. They saved up all their money from there all the way down to here. And they timed the market perfectly, got in right there. There is investor 5 throwing in their lump sum of $58,000. So from there to now, they've all contributed $228,000. And let's see how they all fared out by the end. So here is the chart. Here's how much they all got by today, July of 2025. The investor that timed the market perfectly, they got $2.3 million, which was $439,000 more than the person who dollar cost averaged. The person who got in 1997, the person who just started buying $665 every single month, which is about $8,000 a year, where they ended up coming in at was $1.9 million over the course. It's been 28 years from 1997 to now. They're at $1.9 million and they've contributed $228,000 over 28 years. Pretty damn good. Now, the second investor, the person who got the market not at the very best, but in September of 2001, they end up making $2,031,000, which is $115,000 more than the dollar cost averaging individual. And then the person who got the market right here, March of 2001, a full year after the bubble actually bursted in March of 2000, they finished at $1.92 million, which is only $4,000 more than the person who did the dollar cost averaging. Now, here's what really surprises me, is the people that waited for the bubble to burst, they got these two dips. One person actually was able to get, one person was able to get one of these dips, the investor number 2 who put in this lump sum of $39,000. They got the market at a 47% discount from the top, and they invested their lump sum of $39,000. They actually underperformed the person that was dollar cost averaging in 1997. They only got $1.8 million, underperforming by $91,000. And the person who got the market top up here and then got this dip where the market was down about 30% and they lump sum their $34,000, they underperformed by $169,000, only having $1.7 million over the course of 28 years versus the dollar cost averager at $1.9 million. So should you be saving money? Should you be setting money aside to buy the dip? Well, the answer is maybe. If it helps you sleep at night, if you feel better about yourself, if you feel more confident in the market saying, hey, I can buy the dip and I can make money, then you should do it. But personally for me, I think that it is harder to try to set money aside and to buy the dip than it is just to continuously keep buying all the time. And I've seen comments on my own channel that like dollar cost averaging, buy and hold strategies, it's hard in the moment, that it's hard to stick with it, it's hard to stay disciplined. Personally, I think that's easier than trying to set money aside and choose when to buy a dip. If somebody was to try to set money aside and buy the dip, first of all, it has to be a substantial amount of money. The person, investor 5, who got the market perfect, they had to save up $58,000 just to make a substantial difference versus the dollar cost averager. Over 28 years, they made $439,000 more dollars, but they had to save up $58,000. So if you're only saving up $1,000, $10,000, $20,000, over the long term, that buying the dip, it makes almost no difference at all in your portfolio. You need $50,000, $100,000, $200,000 set aside to really take advantage of a massive dip like the dot-com bubble. I mean, a 75% bubble bursting, you don't get much more of a dip than that. Second, you have to time this perfectly. If you were any one of these other investors, if you really weren't the investor getting it, if you weren't investor 4 or 5, it really doesn't make sense. If you did all that work, if you had to sit here and wait, I mean, just imagine this. If you had to run through this entire bubble, you had to have the conviction of saying, I'm saving, I'm saving, I'm saving. The Alan Greenspan, whenever he started saying that the market was in irrational exuberance and correction territory, whenever it ran up 260% over 3 years, you're watching all of your friends get rich. You're watching everybody get rich from a freaking index fund. This isn't even Bitcoin. It's not a meme stock. It's not a meme coin. It's not even individual stocks. This was the NASDAQ Composite Index, up 260% in a little over 3 years. You had to have a lot of conviction to ride all this all the way up, be at the top, and then say, no, 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 I'm going to wait for the crash. And then imagine you wait for the crash and you buy it and you only outperform the dollar cost averager by $4,000. I mean, if you didn't buy here in 2002, over 2 years after the crash, or here in September 2001, over 1 year over the crash, it really wasn't worth it. I mean, you only got 4,000 more, or you potentially underperformed, and that would have really stung. Like, I can't imagine riding this all the way up and then getting to this first crash or getting to the second crash and you actually underperform the person that just kept buying from 1997. So for me, I have a wife. I have a dog. I have a life. You know, I'm having kids coming along the way. I like to cook. I like to do photography. I have hobbies. And this would have been 5 years of hell from 1997 to 2002, trying to sit there and just convict yourself. Yes, I'm right. Yes, this is a bubble. Everyone else is wrong. And even if you did get it right, you had to be on the nose. 2002, get it perfect. And you had to have a lot of cash saved up. So, is it worth trying to buy the dip? Ultimately, I don't think it's worth it. At the end of the day, the person who rode out through the entire bubble, who started buying in 1997, rode the bubble up and kept buying, rode it down and kept buying, they're still at almost $2 million today in retirement, which puts them in like the top 2% of all Americans out there. The other person who did all that work, 5 years of pain and agony, riding it all the way up, but not investing, saving, finally investing in 2002, and now they have $439,000 more dollars than the person who didn't have to do anything except make automatic deposits. Was it really worth it? It's hard for me to say yes. I don't think it's worth it at all. Like, if your whole goal is just to have more money than somebody else, sure, it's worth it. But if you're going into retirement with $2 million versus $2.3 million, I don't think that's going to be a substantial change in your quality of life or anything you're doing in retirement. So for me, I dollar cost average. No matter what, I'm 100% invested all the time. I get a paycheck, I take money out, I invest. Get a paycheck, take money out, invest. I don't care if the market's high. I don't care if the market's low. I don't care if it's anywhere in between. I buy, and I hold. I don't try to time crashes. I don't try to buy dips. I don't do any of that. I just buy and hold all the time. So if you like this video, if you got something from it, be sure to hit that subscribe button, give me a like, and I'll be back with more content. See ya.